The long-time strategy is to demonize the other so the population is more willing to go to war. So people be way less willing to call for diplomacy with other countries. So as anti-imperialists, it is crucial if you live in the empire to push back and debunk the bullshit lies that come from neocons, neoliberals, and the pro-war machine. That is about as important as anything you can do as an anti-war activist. Because how do they justify war? With the lies. So if I'm a citizen journalist, our number one priority is to destroy those lies. So I've been on Twitter. It's been hilarious. I keep saying, black people, CJ, I know you saw people. I said, black people had no reason to support the United States over China. Now, if you don't want to support the China, that's fine. There's a reason why I said my tweet that way. Like, there's no way, as a black man, you should support the United States over China. Now, if you want to be neutral, fine. I am 100% honest with you guys. I want China to win this shit because for many, I'm gonna get to that here very soon. Look at how the United States treated the world. Look at how they treat the global working class. We need to shift away from unipolarity from the United States dominance. That would be better for the global working class, right? So let me show you guys what our brothers in Africa think. And once again, I look at my brothers across the pond. They have been doing business with China, and you have people that say, "Oh, well, these niggas don't know what they're doing. The smart Chinese people trick the dumb Africans." That is what liberals believe. Oh, China's taking advantage of the dumb black Africans. Look at this. This is one receipt. China is going to reduce tariffs for 98% of goods from 10 of the least developed nations in Africa to 0. And liberals are wondering why Africa want to do business with China. They're asking themselves this question: why BRICS is being expanded? I'm gonna show you guys a video, and there are a lot of these videos. I see these videos all the time. They start showing these more often of Africans talking about why they prefer China. And what Google, CNN, China, Fox News, China. Look at their coverage on China, and they will always leave this part out. Let me show you this clip, and I'll get you in here, CJ, after this, just for your general reaction. Now I have a few more things to share. Here, look at this. This is coming from Africa.
They have no right to choose friends for us. Mm-hmm. We have the right to choose our own friends.
So let me start that again, just because I know the subtitle hitting. Look what he said. He said, the United States do not have the right to choose our friends. Now I'm going to let it play. I just wanted to fix the video.
They have no right to choose friends for us. Mm-hmm. We have the right to choose our own friends. Mm-hmm. They became associated with us not through voluntary association. They imposed themselves on us. They gave us countries we didn't have. We had one country, one continent. Mm-hmm. But with humility, we have accepted them. Okay, let them be our countries. But still more, they are not satisfied with our humility, with our acceptance of them. We don't hate them, but we can live together in a new time, in a new way, in a new world, with dignity, with respect for each other, with cooperation and solidarity.
Cooperation and solidarity. And that has been the word that China has used a lot in their language. Africa has been using this the relationship between China and Africa is solidarity. The relationship between the United States and Africa is one of imperialism and subjection. CJ, do you want China? I can't hear.
Yeah, the reason see you're seeing why I'm happy that I'm experiencing what's happening is that you're seeing why the United States and the imperialist core has to propagandize against socialism and communism. That shit spreads like wildfire. And I'm not saying socialism and communism is spreading in this way, but you see how people are saying solidarity and just peace. Like people let live. Like you live. Let's all make sure everybody's fed on the planet. Make sure everybody's housed on the planet, and then go into do whatever you do. Like do all your own cultural shit in the United States. Who is against that, Nick? Who's against what he just said? How can you be against just everybody, every human being okay? Like It makes no sense. It makes no sense, but they have to make sure this message not get out. China's a threat. We always hear this. A threat. Yes. What? Militarily? What does that mean? A threat to who is a better question. To who? Go ahead, Nick.
And they don't fill that out because they want you to fill it in with your own head.
Yes.
Now, the only people who are living in the future is, guys, it's the year 2022. Nick, I was born in 91, bro. I was born in 91. And I remember thinking like 2022, bro, shit's gonna be crazy. I used to watch the Jetsons. George Jetson was born this year. Like, if you ask me what the 2020s would look like, I was like, yo, this shit is crazy. Not the trash that we see now, homeless everywhere. We live in a failed police state. Nigga, if you told me this 15 years ago, we'd be like, what happened? You want to know who lives in the quote-unquote future that I envision? China. Look at their infrastructure. They got this thing called high-speed rail that I like to explain to normies, people who don't pay attention to politics. They be like, what? You mean they got high speed? You get on the train, you get what? China is the future. Look at Chinese infrastructure. Look at Chinese malls. I see like videos on Twitter because my timeline is very international. Like people are like, look at this unbelievable innovative mall in China. Like they live in the future. The West is a society of barbarians. We are a deeply uncivilized society, and that is why our being presence, my presence on Twitter, has destroyed the brains of liberals and Western chauvinists. Because I'm explaining them to this using facts and knowledge. So look at the language they're using. We get back to the video.
Let me bring up a comment because I want you to. It reads to me like a pushback, so I want you to address it because here at RBN.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I'll just put up the comment and then it says, careful about China. They're not dropping bombs, but they're giving loans with agendas. Careful that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a agreement that African leaders and philosophers, like one of the people we playing right now is a doctor, Will read in African studies and history. So when I'm looking at people who know a lot about the geopolitical climate, what's best for each individual African country, they're introducing these loans that have been forgiven, that is building the infrastructure of these countries, unlike the IMF that has used predatory loans and they force people to take geopolitical position. I am asking you guys, what is the geopolitical position that China has forced the African countries to adopt? You literally have Anthony Blinken in the West that is demanding. Let me pull up the receipt right now because obviously I wasn't ready for this. You had the U.S. demanding Africa takes its side in Ukraine. Let's see. And let me show you guys this as well for all the people who think I'm just some American who don't know the relationship between Africa and China. How about you Western chauvinists tell Africa this? The pushback you guys get. China surpasses U.S. in the eyes of young Africans. So I don't know. I think Africans know what's best for them. That's what it seems like to me. Let me see if I can find the other one. You see, and there's all these polls that show this over and over again. Africa preferred China. Africa preferred China. But Western chauvinists, they cannot wrap their mind around it. They must be getting tricked. They must be taken advantage. Basically, and I'm gonna finish this clip, and you're gonna hear this guy explain. That is not true. That is not true. It's a bunch of Americans making up a bunch of bullshit. Let's see if I can find this other receipt. Because I'm trying to find U.S., Africa, Ukraine.
I didn't mean to divert you. I thought just.
It's good pushback. It's good pushback. Yeah. Africa's Ukraine dilemma. Yeah, I see. This is an article I shared before. You can find these stories everywhere. So what this is, the United States has been openly. Actually, I know where to find it. I actually tweeted about it. The United States was warning African countries, and the African continent pretty much rejected the West, telling them to essentially self-destruct in order for them to maintain geopolitical dominance. So they say, yo, we're going to withhold aid from you guys. We're going to put pressure on you guys if you guys do not agree with our agenda. So it's the West that is putting out these loans for exchange of political favors. I might find the receipt later. I don't want to derail too much. It's ain't too damn long. But anyway, yeah, let's get to this next part. Gosh, let's get back to the video. Gosh, you don't want to derail too long. I explained that before. I showed the article before. Let's get to this. Maybe this guy can explain better. Like I show you, only thing I can do is show you these polls. I can show. Maybe I need to show more of these videos because there's so many of these videos.
Well, how about I ask a question to kind of just address the comment?
Go ahead.
What do you believe is the agenda when the comment, like some of those that are suspicious of China, maybe liberals, like these people you're talking about, with that say
at least come up with evidence. Come up with evidence. Just provide evidence, because they keep saying stuff like China is taking advantage of Africa. They don't provide examples. I can give you concrete examples. The IMF, Ukraine war. It's like, be wary of China taking advantage of Africa. Give me a geopolitical example of that. And they never do. They literally never do. Their example is, dumb Africans are signing up for these loans.
It's hard to argue the concept without having a concrete example.
Yeah, so you guys see, I'm providing examples of what I mean. Like every time I do my segments, I'll provide examples. The people who are anti-China, they just say anti-China shit and never provide backup and explanation for that. And I say this again: if you're anti-imperialist, you're anti-war, our number one goal should be to rebuke propaganda against the enemy of the empire. We need to humanize our enemies. We need to explain where they're coming from. That's why we explain to you guys the background of the Russia-Ukraine war. Meanwhile, in the West, they want you to think that war is just because Putin snapped one day and that Russians are under the evil thumb of an evil dictator. It's easy to justify war when you dehumanize people, when you assume that the countries of our enemy always have the worst intentions. As anti-imperialists, we have to reject that. And let me play this video from the beginning. Hopefully he's much more persuasive than I am. I'm always super nervous with this mic. That's why I always check the audio multiple times. I'll play it from the beginning, and I'll let it play all the way through. No interruptions this time, because I think this guy makes a very powerful point in what I'm talking about now.
They have no right to choose friends for us. We have the right to choose our own friends. They became associated with us not through voluntary association. They imposed themselves on us. They gave us countries we didn't have. We had one country, one continent. But with humility, we have accepted them. Okay, let them be our countries. But still more, they are not satisfied with our humility, with our acceptance of them. We don't hate them, but we can live together in a new time, in a new way, in a new world, with dignity, with respect for each other, with cooperation and solidarity. The problem they have is because they have never had relations with other countries based on solidarity. They have always had imperial relationships.
The West has always had imperial relationships. And as this guy said, they view it as a relationship of solidarity.
Relations with other countries based on solidarity. They have always had imperial relationships.
So white liberals will say this, look at this dumb black professor being brainwashed by the liberals. By the Chinese. Sorry. Look at this doctor. Look at this smart black guy. He's brainwashed. That's what they believe.
With dignity, with respect for each other, with cooperation and solidarity. The problem they have is because they have never had relations with other countries based on solidarity. They have always had imperial relationships. They cannot believe that human beings can associate with each other based on solidarity. They cannot believe we can have a relationship with the Chinese that is based on solidarity.
CJ, doesn't that answer the question that chat earlier? They don't believe that the Chinese and African can have relational solidarity. It must be the Chinese are tricking these dumb black people. That has to be, and if you have a very solid argument, if you can provide concrete evidence, geopolitical event, cause and effect, then I will accept that. I've never seen them do it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I just swear to God, I've seen all these anti-China arguments on Africa. They never do it.
Let's like you said, let's take it their way. Of the worst, if you take their worst assessment, like what is the worst assessment they're saying that China is going to do? Like, what is the threat of what? What is going to happen?
That's such a good point, CJ. That's such a good point. I want to emphasize that because compared to the IMF, like if you fear mongering over the Africa colonizing, being colonized by China, compared to what? AFRICOM? You think China is worse than AFRICOM? You think China is worse than the IMF? I'm about to explain the BRICS situation. Why do you think people are applying in BRICS en masse? They're applying to BRICS en masse to forego the IMF in the West. But so many white people in the United States think these Africans are dumb and being tricked. Anyway, let's finish the clip unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
No, go ahead.
On human unity,
I
do
go
not
back a
believe we can have a relationship with the Chinese that is based on solidarity, on human unity, on common struggles, unified struggles. They think every relationship with a person who is well off than us as Africans is always dominating us. They think we can never have a relationship of equality with anybody else. And also there's a racist attitude in this. Do they think we Africans are fools?
What have I been saying for the last year, CJ?
Nick, if you believe, think about, because I was just about to ask you to stop. If you think about what he's saying and think about the concept, what if the United States really believe they're getting duped because the United States is racist, Nick? What if they really believe that these black people are getting duped because they colonized them? You get what I'm saying? What if they believe this because the United States can't understand that Africa is anything other than to exploit? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like no one else can be doing anything for Africa other than trying to set up some sort of exploitation. It's not even like part of their understanding of what could happen.
Yeah, and I want to clarify when it comes to the U.S. State Department, Anthony Blinken and the politicians, they know. I don't do this thing where I believe that the ruling class is dumb, but the people who vote Democrat and their media heads, they believe the Africans are dumb. Like when you look at Anthony Blinken, and I know you're right, CJ, but Anthony Blinken is evil, but you will never hear me say Anthony Blinken is dumb. Dude speaks multiple languages. Dude is very smart. Dude knows everything. He's probably extremely well-read about geopolitical affairs. If you guys want to think, you cannot convince me that Anthony Blinken had just a simple analysis that Africa is dumb, right? He knows what he's doing. He's weaponizing that against white Americans and American populace in general that will believe him because that is used to justify escalating tension with China. But that is so key to understand. Like the people in charge, they don't believe Africa is dumb, but the entire Democrat Party apparatus, Republican apparatus, the neocon apparatus, and their supporters believe that. Anyway, I'll rewind just a little bit here and we finish it because this dude's spitting.
Is always dominating us. They think we can never have a relationship of equality with anybody else. And also there's a racist attitude in this. Do they think we Africans are fools? Who everybody should dominate the way they dominated us for over 500, 600 years? The Chinese should only come to dominate us? They don't see their domination of us as domination, as something wrong. But they see our association with the Chinese as domination, imperial domination. Let them remove this racist attitude, this racist arrogance, and start to see us as human beings, deserving their respect, deserving their compassion.
So that's coming, that's from Dr. This is the guy. That's a president of Socialist Party Zambia. So you guys see what the socialist position, the anti-imperial, the pro, the Pan-African position, if I should say as well. Now, CJ, you have anything you want to add to that? And I got something else.
No, I just want to say because socialists, like the parties in other countries, like we don't have social equalities here. It's all over other countries. They have these parties elected in bodies of Congress in other countries. So it doesn't surprise me that this guy is a socialist at all. Go ahead.
Yeah. So here's if you're one of the people that still think like, oh well, No, I hear what you guys are saying. I hear your receipts, but I'm still gonna reject it because I think Africans are dumb. If you're one of those people, if you're watching the video and I still haven't convinced you, I have another one where another smarty pants explains the idea that China's debt trapping Africa is beyond absurd, and that is said by people who push the IMF. You got neoliberal capitalists that try to convince people that China has predatory loans on Africa, and the U.S. left, the NATO left is so dumb. You got socialists that is repeating the talking point that come from neoliberals, backing up the IMF and Western domination, and that is exactly what they're doing, even if they don't know it. I think a lot of them do, though. I think a lot of them are happy with their role as propagandists for Western hegemony. So let's play this clip and let's hear what this guy has to say.
So that's what you discover, is that not only that China's share of the debt of those countries is small, China's loans are qualitatively different because they help those countries cope with their problems, while the debt incurred from Western institutions, they worsen the situation. And these countries become hostage to conditionalities and political, like Sri Lanka. Now there's a huge investment by the United States, not in infrastructure, but in political groups, to move them into the so.
That is such an important point. It doesn't go to infrastructure, but political groups. I'll play that part again. That's such an important point.
Conditionalities and political, like Sri Lanka. Now there's a huge investment by the United States, not in infrastructure, but in political groups, to move them into the so-called Indo-Pacific strategy, away from China and their neutral policy. So that's what you discover.
So they have demonized the Belt and Road Initiative because they see the giant threat that it is to the West.